Let me tell you what I think should be going. That Terrence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez for the super middleweight champion of the world. He's entirely too small. Entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that. At 154, he went in the ring against Canelo, and he was entirely too small. But to get this out of the way, to get the very obvious out the way, in the sport of boxing, an elite trainer, nobody knows more boxing than this man. I love talking to him. I love doing television with him, Teddy Atlas, and he joins me right now. Teddy Atlas, what's going on, big time? How are you, sir? How's everything?
I like Crawford. I like Crawford then, I like him now. I liked him before Canelo looked not so good in his last fight, obviously. I thought it was going to be... I just think Crawford's real special. I think Canelo's really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. I see it. The timing, the instinct, the eyes, the ability to be chilly cold, not just cold and calm, but chilly cold, where you can see things other people don't see and react.
Teddy Atlas shocked the boxing world by putting Terrence Crawford ahead of Canelo Alvarez, which leads to a heated debate. He questions the usual order of things and says Crawford has a unique, almost impenetrable sense that sets him apart from the others. This edge could change what it means to be great in sports. When Teddy talks about Canelo, though, he doesn't hold back. What he says gets right to the point. He said, "I'm speaking things to truth that I'm, of course, not in his head. Of course I'm not in the ring. Of course I'm not in his body anymore. But he either got old, he doesn't care anymore, or, there's no fire, there's no urgency, or he's overrated." Is Atlas's honest reporting shaking up the boxing world and making people wonder if Canelo's fame is fading, or if he has just lost the hunger that made him unbeatable in the past? It's a harsh reality check that makes both fans and experts think about what drives a winner. Is it age, drive, or just putting too much stock in them? Teddy's frank judgment cuts through that hoopla and necessitates a closer study of what greatness truly means in the ring today. This is more than just commentary. It is a challenge to the status quo, provoking heated discussions all over the place. Roy Jones Jr. enters the chat with a viewpoint that emphasizes the unpredictable nature of a prospective Crawford against Canelo battle. He points out that the outcome is totally up on Canelo's mindset and strategy going into the fight.
It's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terrence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo come to the dance.
By focusing on the mental game, Roview stands out from the crowd. Canelo has a good chance of beating Crawford if he fights with confidence and aggression. On the other hand, if he doesn't think the fight is important or takes it easy, he could lose to a smart, focused, and hungry opponent. This shifts the focus of the fight from ability to drive and willpower. On fight night, it serves as a reminder that in boxing, every detail matters, and the guy who controls the pace frequently controls the result. Roy Jones Jr. does more than just assess the fight. He also offers Crawford a clear plan for defeating Canelo. His advice focuses on the simple but strong aspect that may tilt the scales in Crawford's favor. He told us, "We come in as big as he can get if you get to the weight limit because there is a weight limit, and get to the weight limit." Roy emphasizes the value of physical power and presence in the ring by encouraging Crawford to use his full weight. It's all about taking advantage of every opportunity to wear out Canelo and take control of the fight. This uncomplicated plan may interrupt Canelo's flow and force him to fight on Crawford's terms. The strategy shows a thorough awareness of how size and power play an important role in high-stakes matches. Roy's discovery shows that success cannot be achieved simply by competence. Crawford must be as frightening as possible to win. Terence. Crawford adds his own voice to the discourse, addressing the mental element of fighting a fighter like Canelo Alvarez. He discusses how he sees the size and talent contrasts between the two, demonstrating confidence in his abilities.
I see him, he'd come and be like, Canelo.
You know how Billy do it too, yeah.
I'd be like, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
So every time he say that, you know, I just be like gradually getting into like looking at him like, okay. And he's not that big. You know, he heavy, but he not that big.
Right.
You know, and I'm just like, all right. I'm laughing, but at the same time it started hitting me like, all right, man, maybe he don't want something. You know, then I started sizing him up, and I'm like, all right, well, Canelo 5'7". You know, my arm's longer.
Yeah.
He's strong. I'm strong.
Right.
You know, to me, skill for skill.
Right.
You know, because Canelo not the biggest 168 fighter. So I just started looking into it, and I'm like,
Crawford says Canelo may have a physical advantage, but he quickly changes the focus to technique and mindset. He thinks that with the proper approach and mental courage, ability can triumph against size. This shows Crawford's confidence not only in his physical training, but also in his ability to outthink and outfight a larger opponent. His strategy suggests the meticulous mental game that distinguishes champions from contenders. It serves as a warning that boxing takes both wits and brawn. Crawford's calm and deliberate approach sets the tone for a bout in which every move and choice is important. Teddy Atlas returns to the talk with a solid justification of Canelo's previous performance. He recognizes Canelo's struggles, but believes that respect and empathy are due even in a sport known for harsh judgments. His comments remind us that brilliance isn't always instant. It can take time to adjust and prove yourself.
Fighting a good fighter, he was fighting a guy that fought a very difficult style at that moment, and he was fighting at a weight class that was foreign to him, and we had to give him a minute. Nobody wants to give anyone a minute in this business. You're supposed to be great, you gotta be great every minute. But I gave him a minute to kind of get his feet settled at a new weight class, and he still did what he had to do to win.
According to Atlas, Canelo met a difficult opponent with a Turkish style and was battling in an unknown weight class. He contends that, while boxing demands greatness every second, it is fair to give combatants time to find their feet while venturing into uncharted area. Despite these obstacles, Canelo did what was necessary to get the win. Teddy's point of view adds dimension to the argument, emphasizing patience and respect for the path that fighters must take. It acts as a reminder that success in boxing requires adaptation and resilience, not immaculate performance from the start. This defense of Canelo balances the previous critiques and keeps the discourse lively and honest. Teddy Atlas returns to celebrate Terence Crawford's indisputable greatness. He delves deeper into what makes Crawford a truly unique fighter, emphasizing the characteristics that set him apart from the competition.
See the greatness. The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, it's in his background, where he came from. That there's something about, just like a Sugar Ray Leonard had that something about him when he's a junkyard dog, when he has to be a junkyard dog. And with all the intangible gifts that I just touched on.
Atlas explains Crawford's particular fire, rooted in his upbringing and temperament, which feeds his ambition and hunger. He compares Crawford's fiery attitude to that of famous boxers, highlighting his ability to shift gears and turn into a merciless junkyard dog when the battle demands it. Crawford stands out for intangible traits such as heart, mind, and grit, in addition to athletic skill. Teddy's words build a picture of a boxer who holds grandeur not only in talent but also in his soul. This viewpoint pushes everyone to see that Crawford's advantage isn't just what he does in the ring, but who he is at his heart. Teddy Atlas continues to make his case for Crawford, emphasizing his well-known abilities, which make him a threat in any fight. He also discusses the intangibles that give Crawford an advantage beyond speed and power.
The ones that we already know, that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? You know, but those intangibles, I believe that he has them. And like I said, when the fight was still mentioned, first mentioned, I should say, I picked him. And now it's a little bit more fashionable. It's a little bit, more easier for people to say, oh yeah, I can see Crawford winning. And why? Well, Canelo's last performance, real quick.
Atlas accepts the challenge. Crawford faces the prospect of gaining weight, but he is sure in his ability to do it due to his mental strength and distinctive characteristics. He tells everyone that he was an early backer of Crawford, and that many others are now realizing the same promise. This move is driven by Canelo's recent success. Teddy's strong analysis encourages viewers to reconsider the contest and gives Crawford the respect he deserves as a legitimate contender ready to exploit any weakness. Teddy Atlas gives a scathing assessment of Canelo's present situation, questioning whether the fire that previously propelled him is fading. His comments call into question Canelo's tremendous popularity and point to a shift in the boxing environment.
My point. But right now, I just give an overview of it. Canelo, he's either old man time, that undefeated guy, he finally caught up to him. He's old, he's slow. Or here's another one. I already touched on, but I'll say it again. And you can get mad again. Or you can agree again. It's up to you, whatever. But he's made so much money that the urgency's not there. The fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I'd say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right. If you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that it just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated.
Atlas shows a terrible reality. Canelo's pace and urgency may be disappearing as he gets older. He says that Canelo's huge success and money have softened his competitive edge, leaving him less driven than previously, but admits that a major bout might reignite that fire. Teddy doesn't believe it's still burning hot. This harsh criticism leads fans to question whether Canelo is still the unbeatable force he once was, or if his prime has passed. Teddy makes big words. Teddy, shake up the discussion by taking that story beyond competence and into the domain of heart and passion. Atlas goes beyond doubting Canelo's present form and questions the legend's record versus top-tier opponents. His study shifts the discourse into an unpleasant area, causing supporters to reconsider long-held ideas.
I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, but you fought great fighters, near great fighters, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. He didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you can make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16. He was 23. He was already pro for how many years? For 8 years, 7 years.
Atlas details a string of challenging fights in which Canelo did not clearly dominate, stressing near calls and failures against strong opponents such as Triple G, Lara, and Mayweather. He acknowledges Canelo's excellence, but thinks that in some of his most important times, he may have fallen short of greatness. This viewpoint cuts through the hoopla, asking whether Canelo has been slightly overrated throughout his career. Teddy's honest analysis calls for a serious look at the final measure of a fighter's legacy, which goes beyond titles and money, regularly beating the best when it counts the most.
Then again, you could still make that argument. Okay, at the end of the day, I think I said this before people killed me, but I said it before it was as easy to say as it is maybe now with Canelo coming off a bad night. I said that this reminds me, and it could be like Pacquiao when he fought De La Hoya. Pacquiao, everyone loved De La Hoya. You forget so fast. You guys got short memories. You forget how all of you said De La Hoya was going to kill him. They didn't know a lot about Pacquiao. It was his real coming out party, and he was too big for Pacquiao, and he was going to kill him.
Atlas remembers being shocked when Pacquiao defeated De La Hoya in a match that many thought was impossible. He describes how spectators were sure that De La Hoya's bulk and power would dominate, only to be proven wrong by Pacquiao's speed and ability. Teddy utilizes this to demonstrate how Canelo's recent troubles may not be the end, but rather a watershed moment that will reshape his reputation. He warns against making excuses about age or decline too fast, like De La Hoya did at the time. This analogy gives credence to the discussion, underlining that nothing is certain in boxing until the final bell. Teddy's insight elevates the narrative beyond criticism, serving as a reminder that every fighter's story can still change after setting out his thorough analysis. Teddy Atlas reinforces his faith in Terence Crawford's abilities and future potential. Despite the constant debates and conflicts, his faith in Crawford is unshakable and has only grown stronger. Stevenson thinks but has all the tools to defeat Canelo, pointing out that while Canelo is a tremendous fighter, he may be physically handicapped in some aspects. He notes that height and physicality may play a larger impact than many people think, giving but an advantage in their possible clash. His viewpoint cuts through the height and adds a new perspective to the continuing argument over who has the edge. Stevenson's daring attitude creates excitement and expectation, emphasizing the fierce competition at the top of the sport. His insight demonstrates that the fight for supremacy is far from over and could tilt in favor of the younger, hungrier warrior. Even Rolly Romero is blunt in his assessment of Canelo, expressing dissatisfaction and publicly cheering for Crawford to defeat him. His forceful statements add another fierce voice to the rising tension around this race.
Big Pacquiao every day, twice on Sunday. I said he's going to be too fast. He's going to be too quick. He's going to box circles around him. That's what he's going to do. Now, I know there's a caveat here. I know you could say, well, Pacquiao was dead at the weight. We didn't know that going in. I don't know if he was. Maybe he was. I don't know. But then you could say, well, maybe Canelo is old. If you're going to make that excuse for De La Hoya, did I say Pacquiao by accident?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oscar.
I meant, I'm sorry. Of course, it wasn't Pacquiao dead at the weight. Oscar was dead at the weight. So people would say that. Okay, we didn't know it at the time. We still don't know for sure. Maybe that was part of it. But I'll go back. If you want to do that, I'll go back and say, okay, what are you going to be saying after this one? You might be saying Canelo was too old. Canelo got old. This, that, whatever. So at the end of the day, looking forward off of the last fight with Canelo, I like Crawford every bit as much as I did before that Canelo fight, and even more now. That's how much I like him.
Romero's strong critique gets right to the heart of many people's doubts about Canelo's present form and motivation. By supporting Crawford, he adds to the intrigue and drama around a hypothetical fight between the two. His direct and emotional tone disrupts the narrative, telling everyone that the stakes are high and emotions are running high. Romero's words raise the heat on Canelo while highlighting Crawford as a legitimate threat. This raw energy keeps the discussion going and builds anticipation for what could be one of the biggest fights in boxing. Antonio Gates joins the rising chorus of voices predicting Terence Crawford's win over Canelo. His prediction lends credence to the growing conviction that Crawford holds the key to shaking up boxing's established order. Gates thinks Crawford's technique, heart, and adaptability will set him apart from Canelo in the ring. His viewpoint supports the notion that Crawford's combination of talent and mental toughness makes him a major threat. This forecast adds to the building buzz surrounding Crawford's name and puts more pressure on Canelo to prove his naysayers wrong. Gates' endorsement shows how, even outside of the boxing industry, experts regard Crawford as the fighter to watch. The swelling chorus of support for Crawford is making this possible battle one of the most talked about events in combat sports. Bruce Carrington offers a crisp analysis of Bud's skills and how his style could hamper Canelo in the ring. His views provide a detailed look at the tactical fighting that could play out in this fight.
Really? Yeah? Now, I'll tell you like this, I mean, the weight division thing, but I hope Crawford beats this shit.
Why do you want to see Crawford beat the ish out of Canelo?
I just hope Crawford beats the shit.
Why? Like Canelo, is it because of the last fight? Like you haven't been a fan of Canelo, or like why? Like you like Crawford that much? Took your time.
What Canelo did on that day was disrespectful to boxing. It was just simply disrespectful to boxing.
Carrington promotes Bud's combination of strength and boxing skills, as well as his ability to successfully use movement and footwork. He points out that Canelo has fought with opponents who continually move and refuse to let him settle, which might work in Bud's favor. Canelo's displeasure in past fights against movers could indicate difficulties. Bud tries a similar strategy. Carrington speculates that Bud may take a patient defensive approach, making it a long and tough night for Canelo. This revelation adds another layer to the discussion, showing how styles and strategy will be as essential as raw talent in determining the outcome. Andre Ward joins the discussion with high praise for Terence Crawford, calling him the best gifted fighter in boxing today. His support has weight, coming from one of the sport's all-time greats.
He's strong though, dude, and he also has the capability of boxing and using the feet. I'm sure Bud took something from that skull fight, because you see Canelo was getting frustrated from time to time. At times, like, he'll stop running after you, and then he'll just like step back to the middle of the ring and just like show some sort of frustration. And anybody that knows Canelo has problems with movers. He wants to just sit there and be able to hit you. And Bud is not going to be, he's not going to give you that all the time. Granted, Bud is a fighter too now. He's a dog. But I can see him having something similar to a Victor Postol fight type of approach, where he's more on the back foot. And if he does that, it's going to be a long night for Canelo Alvarez.
Ward cites Crawford's technical skill, ring intelligence, and ability to adapt to any opponent as important reasons for his top-tier ranking. He points out that Crawford's mix of speed, power, and intelligence distinguishes him from the competition. Ward's emphatic vote of confidence gives legitimacy to the growing conviction that Crawford is not only a contender, but the current king of skill in the sport. His point of view adds to the excitement and admiration that surrounds Crawford, saying that the boxing world should be watching him closely. Pro boxer Joseph Brown joins in, calling Crawford vs. Canelo a legitimate 50-50th fight. His balanced perspective shows how evenly matched these two fighters are in today's environment. Brown adds that both combatants have their individual talents and approaches, making the result unpredictable and entertaining. He emphasizes that skill, strategy, and fight night performance will all be important factors in choosing the winner. This viewpoint adds nuance to the discussion, reminding fans that, for all the hype and analysis, boxing remains unpredictable at its heart. Brown's insight heightens the tension, indicating that this fight might go either way and promising an exciting struggle when they finally meet in the ring. Conor Benn weighs in on the 168-pound duel, describing it as a gritty, closely matched fight that may go either way. His frank appraisal emphasizes the difficulty both combatants face in this high-stakes race.
Going up, I believe he can put a beating on anybody 154, 160.
But not 68.
Nah, Benavidez is... Canelo. I think he's a smart fighter. He doesn't rely on his power. Crawford ain't a fighter who just relies on his power. And then Canelo, when he's fought Belenga, then fought Ryder, Munguia. It's even. I think it'd be a 50-50 fight if Crawford fought Canelo.
Both combatants have unique strengths that could influence the result, making this one of the most unpredictable and exciting fights in recent memory. The fight promises to put every part of their game to the test, from physical ability to mental resilience, keeping fans on the edge of their seats. Who do you think has the advantage? Canelo's established legacy or Crawford's growing dominance? Can Canelo still prove his naysayers wrong, or is Crawford prepared to take the throne? How significant is the mental game compared to physical competence in choosing the winner? Share your views in the comments area below, subscribe to our channel, and watch more movies like this.